presented by Soundlibra.com. Explore more titles via the link in the description or at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to the Simplicity Principle, One Rule, Better Life. I'm Alex. Just a quick heads up before we dive in. The wellness and lifestyle strategies we're discussing are for informational purposes and aren't medical or professional advice. So be sure to consult a professional for your specific needs.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa, and I'm so excited to dive into this. We're embarking on a journey to uncover how one simple principle can truly lead to a better, more peaceful life.
That's right, Lisa. Over the next 13 episodes, we're going to explore how to declutter not just our physical spaces, but our minds, our schedules, our communication, and our relationships. The core idea we're building on is that less, done intentionally, is often so much more.
So, Alex, what exactly do we mean when we talk about simplicity in this context? Is it just about getting rid of stuff?
That's a great question, and it's a common misconception. While decluttering our physical environment is certainly a part of it, simplicity, as we'll explore it, is much deeper. It's about intention. It's about consciously choosing what adds value to our lives and letting go of what doesn't. Think of it as cultivating clarity by removing mental and physical noise.
Clarity. I like that. So it's about making space, not just on our shelves, but in our heads and in our schedules?
Precisely. Imagine your mind as a busy desk. Piles of paper represent unfinished tasks, unanswered emails, worries, and distractions. Simplicity is like systematically clearing that desk. You organize what truly matters, file away what's important but not urgent, and discard what's no longer needed. This frees you up to focus on the important work.
That sounds incredibly freeing. But how do we get there? You mentioned a one rule. That's the foundation. Can you give us a hint?
The one rule. That's the linchpin of the entire principle. While we'll reveal it fully later, for now, understand that this rule is designed to be universally applicable. It's a filter for your decisions, a compass for your actions. It guides you toward choices that align with a life of purpose and peace, rather than obligation and overwhelm.
So this rule helps us weed out the unnecessary?
Exactly. It's the simple yet powerful tool that simplifies everything from how we start our day to how we interact with the people closest to us. It helps us ask, does this truly serve me? Does this align with my values? Does this bring me closer to the life I want to live? And when the answer is no, it gives us the permission and the framework to let it go.
It sounds like it's about making intentional choices. So, what areas will we be exploring to flesh this out?
We're going to start with the very beginning of our day. We'll explore decluttering your mornings, focusing on establishing simple, life-affirming morning rituals. This sets the tone for the entire day, and by extension, the entire week.
I can see how that would have a ripple effect. Then what?
Next, we'll delve into shedding the superficial, simplifying your communication. This is about becoming clearer and more direct in how we speak and write, reducing misunderstandings and saving precious mental energy. Think about how much time we spend deciphering emails or clarifying spoken words. Simplicity in communication cuts through that.
Oh, I definitely need that one. I can already feel the mental clutter melting away just thinking about it. And what about our relationships?
That leads us perfectly into deepening connections, simple relationships, richer lives. We'll discover how simplifying our social circles and the way we interact can lead to more meaningful, authentic connections rather than superficial acquaintanceships. It's about quality over quantity.
That makes so much sense. Focusing our energy on the people who truly matter. Then we'll move on to goals?
Yes, the power of one. Focusing your goals with simplicity. We'll learn how trying to achieve too many things at once dilutes our efforts. By focusing on one primary goal at a time, or simplifying our objectives, we can achieve them more effectively and with less stress.
So it's about strategic focus. And then our physical surroundings?
Absolutely. We'll tackle creating order, a simple approach to your environment. This episode will go beyond just tidying up. It's about creating a living or working space that supports your well-being and your ability to focus, minimizing distractions and maximizing calm.
That brings a sense of peace just hearing it. And what about making choices? Life is full of decisions.
That's where the art of decision-making, simplicity for clarity, comes in. We'll explore how simplifying our decision-making process can reduce the paradox of choice and lead to more confident and effective choices, both big and small.
This is all so interconnected. It sounds like it impacts every facet of our lives.
It truly does, and that includes our professional lives. We'll explore work smarter, not harder, simplicity in your career. This isn't about not working hard, but about working efficiently, focusing on high-impact tasks and avoiding unnecessary busy work.
Which is something I think many of us struggle with. So, does this principle extend to our families too?
It's crucial for families. In parenting with purpose, simple strategies for thriving families. We'll discuss how simplifying family routines, expectations, and communication can create a more harmonious and joyful home environment for everyone.
It feels like we're building towards a complete lifestyle overhaul, but in a gentle, manageable way.
Precisely. And as we build this understanding, we'll be leading up to the reveal of the one rule revealed, your foundation for simplicity. This is the cornerstone, the guiding principle we've been hinting at.
I'm on the edge of my seat. And then what happens after we know the rule?
Then we really push the boundaries with radical simplicity, embracing the maximum. We'll look at how pushing simplicity to its limits can lead to extraordinary results, not deprivation.
That sounds like a powerful shift from just doing simplicity to being simple.
Exactly. And finally, we'll conclude with sustaining simplicity, making it a way of life, and then the simplicity principle, a life of clarity and peace, where we'll bring it all together, focusing on how to make simplicity a lasting habit and a source of lifelong clarity and peace.
This is going to be an incredible journey, Alex. It's amazing to think how one core idea can really transform so many areas of our lives.
It is, and that's the power of simplicity. It's not about doing less, it's about doing better by focusing on what truly matters. It's about creating space for joy, for meaning, and for peace by intentionally letting go of the excess.
So, the core idea is that by intentionally reducing complexity, be it in our physical space, our schedules, or our mental load, we can create greater clarity, focus, and ultimately, a more fulfilling life. And it all starts with a single, powerful rule.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. We've laid the groundwork for an exciting exploration into how simplicity can unlock a better life. Next episode, decluttering your mornings, starting with rituals. Welcome back. Last time, we explored the core idea behind the simplicity principle. Now, we're ready to tackle decluttering our daily routines.
That's right, Alex. And today, we're kicking things off with perhaps the most impactful part of our day to simplify our mornings. How we start our day can truly set the tone for everything that follows.
Exactly. If you wake up feeling rushed and unsure what to do first, you're already playing catch up. You're reacting to your environment rather than intentionally directing your day.
It's like trying to navigate a busy highway during rush hour without a map. You're constantly swerving, getting frustrated, and not making much progress.
A perfect analogy. So, how do we apply the simplicity principle to declutter our mornings? It starts with rituals. Rituals are simply actions performed regularly, providing structure and predictability, which are the opposite of chaos.
And the simplicity principle helps us make those rituals intentional and effective, focusing on what truly serves us.
Precisely. The first step is to identify what your current morning looks like. What do you do from the moment your alarm goes off? Do you grab your phone immediately? Do you scroll through social media?
That kind of inventory can be eye-opening. I know for me, there were times I'd reach for my phone before even getting out of bed. It felt like I was a slave to the device, and my brain was immediately filled with other people's agendas.
That's a common trap. If you let your phone dictate your first hour, you're giving away your most precious resource, your focus, before the day has even properly begun. So, a foundational step for a simpler morning is creating a device-free zone for at least the first 30 to 60 minutes of your day.
A device-free zone. I like that. It sounds so peaceful already. So, what do we fill that space with instead?
We fill it with intentionality. This is where building simple, positive rituals comes in. Imagine a single, simple rule that guides your morning. For example, my morning ritual is to hydrate and move. That's it.
Hydrate and move. That's beautifully simple. So, instead of checking emails, I'd focus on drinking a glass of water and doing some light stretching or a short walk.
Exactly. And that single rule can cascade into other beneficial habits. You drink water, which helps rehydrate your body after sleep. Then, when you move, you're waking up your muscles and increasing circulation. This physical readiness can then naturally lead to wanting to prepare a healthy breakfast.
So, the simplicity of the rule, hydrate and move, creates a ripple effect of positive actions. It's not about having a long to-do list for the morning, but about having a clear intention.
You got it. Another powerful morning ritual is reflection or mindfulness. This could be a few minutes of deep breathing, a short meditation, or even just quietly observing your thoughts without judgment.
I've tried meditation before, and sometimes the pressure to clear my mind felt overwhelming. Is there a simpler way to approach it?
Absolutely. The goal isn't to achieve a blank slate. It's more about becoming aware of your thoughts and feelings. You can simply set a timer for 5 minutes, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. When your mind wanders, and it will, just gently bring your attention back to your breath without criticizing yourself. That act of returning your attention is the practice.
That feels much more achievable. So, a simple morning could involve first, a device free period, during which I focus on hydrating and moving. Then, perhaps 5 minutes of mindful breathing.
Perfect. Another element of a decluttered morning is preparing the night before. This is a huge stress reducer. Lay out your clothes, pack your lunch, prepare your coffee maker, tidy your workspace, or even just review your plan for the next day.
Oh, preparing the night before is a game changer. It's like giving your future self a gift. Instead of a frantic search for matching socks, you just have them.
Precisely. This reduces decision fatigue in the morning. Every decision you make in the morning, even a small one, pulls from your mental energy reserves. By preparing proactively, you can serve that energy for the important tasks of your day.
So, thinking about it with the simplicity principle, we want to minimize the number of decisions we have to make in the morning. Preparation is key to that.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about consistency. The power of rituals lies in their repetition. Start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire morning overnight. Pick one or two simple rituals and stick with them for a week or two.
That makes sense. Trying to do too much too soon could lead to overwhelm, which is the opposite of simplicity. So, if my one rule is hydrate and move, I'll commit to drinking a glass of water and doing 10 minutes of stretching every morning for the next 2 weeks.
That's a fantastic starting point. Once those become automatic, meaning you do them without thinking much, you can then consider adding another simple element. Perhaps it's journaling for a few minutes, reading a few pages of a book.
It's about building momentum with small, consistent wins. And by decluttering our mornings, we're essentially clearing mental space. We're creating a calm harbor before we set sail for the day's adventures.
That's a beautiful way to put it, Lisa. And by focusing on these simple, intentional rituals, We're not just decluttering our mornings. We're reinforcing the core idea of the simplicity principle, that by reducing complexity and focusing on what truly matters, we can enhance every aspect of our lives. These simple morning routines are the foundation upon which we can build a clearer, more peaceful, and more productive day.
So, to recap for our listeners, to declutter your mornings, start by observing your current routine. Then, create a device-free period. Establish simple, intentional rituals based on a core rule, like hydrate and move, or mindful breathing. Prepare the night before to reduce morning decisions. And finally, focus on consistency, starting small and building gradually.
That's a wonderful summary, Lisa. By decluttering our mornings, we empower ourselves to start the day with intention, focus, and peace. We're setting ourselves up for success, not by adding more to our plate, but by streamlining what's already there.
It's amazing how much of a difference these small changes can make. It really is about the power of one. In this case, the power of one simple, intentional morning.
Indeed. And next time, we'll be taking this principle of decluttering to another crucial area of our lives, shedding the superficial and simplifying our communication.
Great. So, for our listeners, next episode, shedding the superficial, simplifying your communication.
Welcome back. Last time we covered simplifying your mornings. Now, let's tackle communication.
Communication. It sounds so fundamental, doesn't it? But Alex, is it really as simple as it should be? I feel like sometimes I'm wading through a fog of emails, texts, and conversations that just go on without ever really getting to the point.
That fog, Lisa, is exactly what we're talking about today. It's the superficiality that creeps into our communication, obscuring clarity and causing misunderstandings. Earlier, we introduced the core idea of the simplicity principle, that by removing the unnecessary, we can achieve greater clarity and a better life. Today, we're applying that principle directly to how we speak, write, and connect with others.
So, we're talking about cutting out the fluff in our conversations?
Precisely. Think about it. How much time do we spend crafting emails that are overly polite, filled with jargon, or just plain rambling? How many meetings could have been a quick email or even a brief chat? This is the noise, the superficial clutter that prevents us from truly hearing each other and being heard.
I know exactly what you mean. I've definitely been guilty of writing an email that feels like a novel, trying to preempt every possible question. And then, of course, it gets lost in translation or the recipient just gives up trying to get through it.
Exactly. And the antidote is right there in our simplicity principle, directness and honesty. When we communicate simply, we aim to convey our message as clearly and concisely as possible. This isn't about being rude or dismissive. It's about being respectful of both your own time and the time of the person you're communicating with.
Respectful, that's a good way to frame it. Because when I receive a communication that's clear, to the point, and honest, I feel respected. I know they've put thought into what they want to say and how best to say it.
Absolutely. Let's break down some practical ways we can start shedding this superficiality. First, consider your words. Are you using jargon or complex phrasing when a simpler word will do? For example, instead of saying facilitate a collaborative synergy, why not just say work together or help each other?
Oh, the corporate jargon. That's a big one. It feels like people use those fancy words to sound more intelligent, but often it just achieves the opposite and creates confusion.
It does, and it builds a barrier. True intelligence in communication isn't about using the most complex vocabulary, but about conveying your meaning effectively to the widest possible audience. So, the first step is simply to choose plain language. Ask yourself, is there a simpler way to say this?
That's a great question to keep in mind. What else can we do, Alex?
Next, let's talk about conciseness. We often pad our messages with introductory phrases, disclaimers, or unnecessary pleasantries. While politeness is important, and we'll touch on that, there's a fine line between being courteous and being verbose. Think of your message like a well-packed suitcase. You want to include everything necessary, but nothing extra that would make it too heavy or bulky to carry.
So, get to the point sooner?
Yes, for emails, this might mean putting the main point in the subject line and at the beginning of the email. For verbal conversations, it means stating your purpose early on. If you need to discuss something with a colleague, rather than a long preamble about your day, you might say, "Hi, Sarah. I wanted to quickly discuss the Q3 report figures with you. Do you have 5 minutes now?"
That's so much more efficient. It tells Sarah exactly what you need, how much time it might take, and gives her control over when it happens. It's a form of respect, really.
It is, and it leads to stronger relationships. When you communicate directly, you build trust. Others learn that they can rely on your words to be truthful and to the point. This fosters deeper connections because there's less room for misinterpretation and fewer hidden agendas. Superficial communication often creates a sense of unease, an unspoken understanding that something is being held back.
That makes perfect sense. When someone is vague or overly complicated, I often find myself trying to read between the lines, which is exhausting and rarely accurate.
Exactly. And this brings us to another key aspect: honesty. Simple communication is honest communication. It's about speaking your truth, even when it's difficult. This doesn't mean being brutal. The simplicity principle can guide us to express honesty with tact and kindness. Instead of saying, "Your idea is terrible," a simpler, more honest, and kinder approach might be, "I see your intention with that idea, but I have some concerns about how it will be received by the team. Perhaps we could explore it from another angle."
That's a much better example. It expresses your honest opinion, but also invites collaboration and problem solving.
Right. So, to recap the core ideas for simplifying communication. First, use plain language. Choose words that are easy to understand. Second, be concise. Get to your main point efficiently. And third, be honest, but always with kindness and respect. These three pillars, clarity, conciseness, and honesty, are fundamental to shedding superficiality.
And when we do this, we're not just making our own lives easier by reducing misunderstandings, we're also building stronger, more authentic relationships. It's like clearing away all the dust so the light can shine through.
That's a beautiful analogy, Lisa, and it directly connects back to earlier where we talked about clarity as the bedrock of the simplicity principle. When our communication is clear, our thoughts are clear, and our actions become more purposeful. It removes doubt and hesitation. Consider the everyday impact. Think about the emails you send. Could you shorten them by 20%? Could you remove one unnecessary phrase from that paragraph? For verbal conversations, try to state your core message within the first minute. It takes practice, but the rewards are immense. Fewer follow-up emails asking for clarification, less time spent in those clarifying conversations, and a greater sense of mutual understanding.
It really changes the dynamic, doesn't it? Instead of communication being a chore or a potential minefield, it becomes an effective tool for connection and progress. It's about being truly present and clear in our interactions.
Precisely. This isn't about becoming robotic or losing your personality. It's about refining your message so that your personality and your message can shine through more brightly. It's about intentionality. Every word you choose, every sentence you construct, should serve a purpose.
So, the next time we're about to send an email or start a conversation, we should pause and ask ourselves, is this simple? Is it clear? Is it honest?
Exactly. And crucially, is it necessary? Sometimes the simplest communication is no communication at all, or a very brief acknowledgement. That's also a skill to develop. Learning to discern when a detailed explanation is needed versus when a simple nod or a brief "thank you" will suffice.
It sounds like we're not just talking about simplifying words, but simplifying our intentions and our approach to connecting with others.
That's the essence of it, Lisa. By shedding the superficial layers of communication, the jargon, the rambling, the unnecessary complexities, we reveal the genuine message underneath. This leads to deeper understanding, builds trust, and ultimately creates richer, more meaningful connections. We've covered how to implement simpler language, conciseness, and honesty. Remember, it's about respect for your own time and for the time of others, and fostering genuine understanding. Next episode, we're going to apply the simplicity principle to another crucial area, deepening our connections and fostering richer, simpler relationships. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to the simplicity principle. Last time, we explored how simplifying communication leads to more clarity. Today, we're deepening connections through simplicity.
That's a fantastic topic, Alex. It feels like in our busy lives, it's easy to let relationships become complicated with so many superficial interactions.
Exactly, Lisa. We tend to accumulate connections. But what if we applied the simplicity principle here and focused on quality over quantity?
So, instead of trying to maintain dozens of light friendships, we pour our energy into a few truly deep ones.
Precisely. Think about it. How much energy do we expend trying to keep up with so many people? The simple approach is to identify relationships that truly nourish us, where we can be our authentic selves and invest more deeply in those. It's about intentionality.
Intentionality. It means being deliberate about who we spend our time with and why. It's not about cutting people off, but recognizing where our energy is best placed for genuine connection.
Absolutely. And this applies to friendships, family, and romantic partnerships. Often, we overcomplicate romantic relationships by expecting one person to be everything to us.
That's a lot of pressure. It's a recipe for disappointment when any small lapse feels like a major failure.
It is. A simpler approach is to recognize that one person can't fulfill every single need. Instead, we can cultivate a strong primary partnership while also maintaining meaningful friendships and family connections. This creates a robust support system. It's a network of support, not a single point of dependency.
So, by simplifying the expectation of a single relationship, we actually strengthen it, and the surrounding relationships too. That's a brilliant paradox.
It is, and it leads to richer lives because we're experiencing connection on multiple levels. Another crucial aspect of simplifying relationships is about being truly present. It's easy to be physically present, but mentally elsewhere.
Oh, I'm so guilty of this. You're talking to someone, but your mind is already racing ahead, or you're glancing at your phone. It's a constant distraction.
It is, and it sends a message. You're not quite important enough for my undivided attention. Simply being present, really listening, making eye contact, putting away distractions, is a profound act of connection. It shows respect and genuine interest.
That makes so much sense. When someone is truly listening to me, I feel valued and seen. It's a more satisfying interaction than a rushed, distracted chat.
Exactly. And this ties into another key element of simple relationships, clear boundaries. Many complicated relationships suffer because boundaries are unclear.
Unclear boundaries can lead to resentment, can't they? One person feels taken advantage of, or the other feels overwhelmed.
Precisely. Setting clear boundaries with love and respect is a way of simplifying the relationship. It defines what is acceptable and what isn't, preventing misunderstandings and preserving mutual respect. Think of it like drawing a clear, friendly line in the sand. It doesn't create distance, it creates clarity.
So, it's not about pushing people away, but about defining the space where the relationship can thrive healthily. A boundary can actually be an act of love, both for yourself and the other person, by preventing future conflict.
You've hit it perfectly, Lisa. It's about creating a safe and predictable space for connection. When you know what to expect and you know your own limits are respected, the relationship can deepen naturally. It becomes less about navigating potential minefields and more about enjoying the shared journey.
So, to recap for our listeners, applying simplicity to relationships means focusing on quality over quantity, being truly present, and setting clear, loving boundaries. It's about nurturing the connections that genuinely matter and allowing those connections to enrich our lives.
Yes, and it's also about recognizing that some relationships are meant to be lighter, and that's okay too. Simplicity allows us to appreciate each type of connection for what it is. A casual chat with a colleague can be pleasant without needing to become a lifelong friendship.
That's a good point. It frees us from the pressure to make every single person in our lives a central figure. We can have a vibrant social life that's both diverse and manageable by being intentional.
And this intentionality, this focus on clarity and depth, is a stepping stone to our next topic. We've talked about simplifying our mornings, our communication, and our relationships. Next up, we're going to explore how simplicity can bring incredible clarity to our personal aspirations and goals.
Oh, I'm already excited for that. So, after simplifying our interactions with others, we'll be focusing on simplifying our ambitions.
Exactly. We'll be exploring the power of one, focusing your goals with simplicity. It's a really powerful concept for cutting through the noise and identifying what you truly want to achieve.
That sounds like a perfect progression. So, join us next time as we discover how to bring more focus and purpose to our own dreams.
Next episode, the power of one, focusing your goals with simplicity. Welcome back to the Simplicity Principle. Last time, we dove into simplifying relationships. Today, we're tackling goal setting.
Goal setting. Just the phrase can bring up thoughts of endless to do lists, resolutions that fizzle out, and that nagging feeling of never quite doing enough. It's overwhelming, Alex. How can simplicity possibly apply here?
That's the perfect starting point, because complexity is precisely why we need simplicity. Think about it. When faced with a mountain of goals, big, small, work, personal, where do you even begin? It's like trying to drink from a fire hose. You end up saturated but not nourished.
Exactly. You feel like you're spinning your wheels trying to achieve a dozen things at once, and the result is usually mediocrity or burnout. It's like juggling too many balls. Eventually, they all come crashing down.
A great analogy. And that's where the power of one comes in. Our focus today is on simplifying your goals by embracing the profound impact of choosing just one primary objective. Just one. This isn't about having only one goal for your entire life, but rather for a specific period, a quarter, a year, or even just a few months.
Just one main goal? That sounds almost too simple to be effective. I'm used to having a list, a detailed plan. How can focusing on a single aim be powerful?
It's powerful because it creates unshakable clarity. When you have one clear target, your energy, attention, and actions naturally align with it. There's no more mental tug of war between competing priorities. Imagine you're an archer. You wouldn't aim your arrow at three targets simultaneously, would you? You pick one, draw your bow, and focus all your strength and precision on hitting that single bullseye.
That makes sense. When you have one target, you can give it your full attention, your best effort. You're not diverting your focus.
Precisely. This singular focus acts as a powerful amplifier for your motivation. When you know exactly what you're aiming for, every step you take feels more meaningful. It's a direct step towards your chosen destination. This is a core tenet of our one rule idea we've been building throughout this series. If the overarching principle of this series is simplicity, then the one rule for goal setting is to identify your most important goal and pour your energy into that.
So, instead of a long, overwhelming list, we're encouraged to identify the one thing that, if achieved, would make the biggest positive impact on our lives right now.
Exactly. Think about the most critical area you want to improve or achieve. What is that one thing that, once accomplished, would ripple outwards and positively affect other areas of your life? It's about identifying leverage. What's the one change that unlocks momentum?
That's a great way to frame it, leverage. So, we're not pretending other goals don't exist, but we're consciously choosing to prioritize one as our primary focus. What are some practical ways to identify this one thing?
Great question. The first step is honest reflection. Ask yourself, if I could only achieve one significant thing in the next 3 months, what would it be? What outcome would bring me the most satisfaction, fulfillment, or progress? Consider where you feel the most friction or the biggest desire for change. Is it your career, your health, a creative project, a personal development goal?
And it needs to be specific, right? Not just get healthier, but perhaps run a 5-kilometer race or cook healthy meals at home 5 nights a week.
Absolutely. Vague goals are the enemy of focused action. Your one thing needs to be tangible, achievable, and measurable. This ensures you can track your progress and feel a sense of accomplishment along the way. Imagine thinking, I want to be a better communicator. That's good, but it's broad. Now, what if your one thing is, I will practice active listening in every conversation for the next month? That's specific, actionable, and directly supports the broader desire.
So, the clarity comes from making it concrete. And once you have that one clear, specific goal, what happens next?
Then the magic of focused action begins. With only one primary objective, you can dedicate your mental energy to brainstorming the best strategies to achieve it. You can prioritize tasks that directly serve this goal, saying no more easily to distractions or less important endeavors that would pull you away. It's about creating laser-like focus rather than a scattered approach.
It's like clearing away all the underbrush so you can see a clear path forward. You're not tripped up by a million different directions.
Precisely. And this focus naturally boosts your motivation. When you see consistent progress towards your single, clearly defined goal, it's incredibly rewarding. This positive reinforcement fuels your drive to continue. It creates a virtuous cycle of action and achievement. Remember when we talked about decluttering your mornings? Applying this one goal principle to your life is like decluttering your entire ambition. You're not trying to do everything. You're consciously choosing to excel at one thing.
And this one thing doesn't have to be monumental. It just has to be the most important thing for you at this time. It could be learning a new skill, completing a specific project at work, or even establishing a consistent meditation habit.
Exactly. The scale isn't as important as the singularity of focus. When you identify your one thing, you commit to it. This commitment is where the real power lies. It's not about having an endless list of aspirations. It's about having the courage and discipline to choose one and see it through. This approach helps you build momentum, gain confidence, and ultimately achieve results that feel truly significant rather than just busy.
So, to recap for our listeners, the power of one in goal setting means identifying a single, primary objective for a defined period. This creates clarity, amplifies motivation, and allows for focused action. We move from trying to do everything to intentionally excelling at one thing, making our efforts more impactful and leading to greater satisfaction and progress.
That's a perfect summary. By embracing the power of one, we transform the overwhelming landscape of goals into a clear, actionable path. It's about strategic simplicity, leveraging your energy for maximum impact.
It really shifts the perspective from quantity to quality when it comes to our aspirations.
It truly does. And this principle of focusing on one thing is so powerful, it's going to lead us perfectly into what's next. Next episode, Creating order, a simple approach to your environment. We'll explore how simplifying your physical surroundings can bring a profound sense of calm and focus to your life. Welcome back. Last time we covered focusing your goals. Now let's create order in your environment.
And honestly, Alex, this feels like a breath of fresh air. Our physical spaces often reflect, or perhaps more accurately, influence our mental states. If our desks are piled high, if our homes are overflowing, it's hard to feel mentally decluttered.
Exactly. Think about it, Lisa. When you walk into a space that's organized, clean, and has only what you need, how do you feel?
Calmer, more focused, like I can actually think. It's like the opposite of walking into a whirlwind of stuff.
Precisely. And that whirlwind of stuff, that clutter, it's not just a physical mess. It's a mental burden. Every item we keep, especially if it's just sitting there unused or unloved, takes up a sliver of our mental real estate. It's a visual distraction, and it can be a constant, albeit subtle, reminder of unfinished tasks or decisions we haven't made. We touched on this in episode 1 when we introduced the core idea of eliminating the unnecessary to make room for the essential. Today, we're applying that principle directly to our surroundings.
So, it's not just about tidying up for the sake of appearances, but about actively curating our environment to support our well-being and our goals.
That's a fantastic way to put it, Lisa. Curating. It implies intention. And the intention here is simplicity. So, how do we achieve that simple, ordered environment? It starts with a fundamental question for each item we own.
Which is,
Does this item serve a purpose? Or does it bring me joy? This question, really sitting with it, is key. It's about assessing the value each possession brings to your life. If it does neither, well, it might be time to let it go.
that sounds deceptively simple, but the reality can be much harder. We attach memories to things or we keep something just in case. That just in case can be a major clutter trap.
It absolutely can be. And we're not saying get rid of everything. That's not simplicity. That's extreme minimalism, which isn't the goal here. The goal is intentional simplicity. So for that just in case item, ask yourself, how likely is it that I'll actually need this? And if I do need it, can I easily acquire it again, perhaps at a low cost or very quickly? If the answer to both is yes, then keeping it out of fear of a highly unlikely future need is probably creating more stress than it's worth.
That's a great point. It reframes just in case from a protective measure to a potential source of future clutter and mental overhead.
Exactly. And another way to approach this is through what I call the one in, one out rule, especially for things like clothing or books, where accumulation can happen quickly. If you bring a new item into your home, an old, similar item leaves. This naturally prevents the buildup.
I like that. It creates a natural equilibrium, and it forces you to be more mindful about what you're bringing into your space in the first place.
Right? Now, let's talk about where to start. Tackling an entire home can feel overwhelming. So, we recommend starting small. Pick one area, a drawer, a shelf, a countertop, a specific area that bothers you the most. Spend just 15 or 30 minutes on it. The momentum you build from completing a small task is powerful.
So, avoid the urge to do everything at once and risk feeling defeated. Focus on making progress in one small, manageable zone.
Yes, and as you declutter, it's also about creating systems for what you do keep. Everything should have its place. When items have a designated home, it's much easier to put them away and much harder for clutter to creep back in. Think about your kitchen. Spices in a rack, utensils in a drawer organizer, dishes in a cupboard. This isn't just about neatness, it's about efficiency. When you need a spoon, you know exactly where to find it. This saves time and reduces frustration.
That makes so much sense. It's about creating functional, easy to maintain order. Not just a surface level clean, but a system that supports daily life.
And this applies to your workspace as well. A clear desk, a well-organized digital space. These are crucial for productivity. Imagine needing a specific file for an important meeting. If your physical and digital desktops are clear, you can find it in seconds. If they're chaotic, you might spend precious minutes or even create panic searching for it.
And that panic can cascade, right? You miss the file, you're late for the meeting, you're flustered, and your whole day is thrown off track.
Precisely. The physical environment has a direct impact on our mental state and our ability to perform tasks. It's like building a foundation. A messy, cluttered foundation leads to a wobbly structure. A simple, ordered foundation supports a strong, stable life. Remember that mental clarity we talked about in episode 1? This is how we build it physically.
So, to recap for our listeners, an ordered environment supports mental clarity and reduces mental burden. The key is to ask for each item, does it serve a purpose or bring joy?
Yes. And if you're struggling with that, consider the just-in-case scenario critically. Is it a realistic need or a fear-based acquisition?
And for practical application, start small with one area, implement the one in, one out rule where appropriate, and create designated homes for everything you keep to make maintenance easier.
Exactly. Creating order in your environment is a powerful act of self-care. It's about intentionally shaping the spaces you inhabit to support a simpler, more focused, and more joyful life. It's not about owning less, but about owning intentionally and making room for what truly matters.
And that intentionality, that conscious choice about what we surround ourselves with, brings us back to the core of the simplicity principle. It's a principle that extends from our goals, to our relationships, to our communication, and now, so powerfully, to our physical world.
It really does. So, take a look around your space today. What's one small step you can take to create a bit more order, a bit more simplicity, and therefore a bit more peace?
That's a great challenge for all of us. Next episode, we'll dive into the art of decision making and how simplicity can bring incredible clarity to our choices.
Next episode, the art of decision making. Simplicity for clarity. Welcome back. We've explored creating order in your physical world. Now let's tackle decision making.
Decisions. It feels like our brains are constantly buzzing, from what to wear to what to eat and bigger life choices. It can get overwhelming.
It really can. That feeling has a name, decision fatigue. It's mental exhaustion from making too many choices. When your energy is spent on 100 little decisions before noon, there's little left for the important ones.
Decision fatigue. I know that feeling. By day's end, I just want someone else to tell me what to do, or I grab whatever's easiest. Not always the best choice.
Exactly. This is where the simplicity principle, the idea of simplifying our lives, becomes incredibly powerful. Today, we'll explore decision making through simplicity, aiming for clarity instead of chaos. Remember our core idea: less is often more.
So, how does simplicity apply to making choices? It feels like a complex process.
The key is to reduce the number of decisions you need to make and make the ones that remain more streamlined. Every decision, no matter how small, uses a bit of your cognitive energy. If we can minimize that drain, we have more energy for what truly matters.
Okay, I see that. So, the first step is to cut down on the sheer volume of choices.
Precisely. One of the most effective ways is by establishing routines and habits. Remember when we talked about starting our mornings with rituals in episode 2? That was all about pre-deciding certain actions.
Ah, yes. Like choosing your outfit the night before or having a standard breakfast. You're not using up mental energy deciding those things in the moment.
Exactly. You've made those decisions once in a calm state, and now they happen on autopilot. This applies to so many areas. What meals will you typically eat during the week? If you have a rotation of, say, 5 dinners you enjoy and can prepare, you've eliminated countless choices each evening.
That's a great practical example. Instead of staring into the fridge wondering, what for dinner tonight? You can just ask, which of my usual 5 dinners should I make? It's a much simpler mental check.
And it frees up your mind. We can also apply this to our communication, which we touched on in episode 3. Simplifying how you communicate, perhaps by having a few standard ways to respond to common questions or requests, can reduce the mental load.
So, creating these pre-decided frameworks reduces the need for active decision-making in the moment. It's like building a scaffolding of choices you've already sorted.
You've got it. Now, what about when you do have to make a significant choice? How can simplicity help then?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Sometimes we have genuine forks in the road.
Indeed, when faced with a significant decision, simplicity encourages us to focus on our core values and priorities. Remember episode 1? We talked about the simplicity principle being about more than just decluttering physical space. It's about aligning your life with what's truly important to you.
Right. So, when making a big choice, ask yourself, which option aligns best with my core values? Which one moves me closer to my most important goals?
Exactly. And don't stop there. Simplicity also means avoiding overanalysis. We often get bogged down by imagining every possible outcome, positive and negative. The analysis paralysis can be crippling.
Oh, I'm a champion at that. Picturing every scenario.
It's a common trap. Instead of trying to predict the future perfectly, focus on making a decision that feels right now, based on your current values and information. Often, the best approach is to make the best decision you can with the information you have, and then move forward.
So, it's about trusting your gut, but a gut that's informed by your values and past experiences, rather than getting lost in excessive forecasting.
Precisely. Another powerful simplicity strategy is to limit your options. If you're choosing a new phone, for example, instead of looking at 50 models, narrow it down to 3 that meet your essential needs. Research those 3 thoroughly.
That makes sense. It's like if you're picking a new restaurant, instead of browsing 100 in the city, you might say, I want Italian and it needs to be within a 15-minute walk. That immediately shrinks the choices.
Beautiful analogy, Lisa. It's about setting clear criteria and sticking to them. This prevents you from falling into the trap of thinking, what if there's something better out there?
This is so helpful, Alex. I think I often complicate decisions by looking for a mythical, perfect choice, rather than a good, solid choice that serves my purpose.
That's a key insight. The pursuit of perfection can be the enemy of good. Simplicity in decision-making means accepting that most choices don't require a monumental effort. They require a clear head, a good framework, and the confidence to move forward.
So, to recap, we reduce the number of decisions through routines and habits, freeing up mental energy. And when we do need to make a choice, we focus on our core values, avoid overanalysis, and limit our options by setting clear criteria.
That's the essence of it. By applying the simplicity principle to your decision-making, you'll experience less stress, more clarity, and ultimately, make more effective choices that align with the life you want to build.
It's about taking back control from decision fatigue and reclaiming your mental energy for more fulfilling activities.
Absolutely. And this leads us perfectly into our next topic, where we'll discuss how to work smarter, not harder, by applying simplicity to your career.
Sounds like a fantastic way to build on what we've learned. I'm looking forward to it.
Next episode, work smarter, not harder, simplicity in your career. Welcome back to the Simplicity Principle. Today, we're applying simplicity to our careers.
That sounds incredibly relevant, Alex. So many of us feel overwhelmed by our workloads. I'm eager to hear how the simplicity principle can help us reclaim our professional lives.
It's all about identifying the noise and focusing on what truly matters. Think about your typical workday. What are the biggest sources of complexity or inefficiency you encounter?
Oh, where do I start? Unnecessary meetings, endless streams of notifications, unclear priorities. It feels like there's always something pulling us in different directions.
Exactly. The simplicity principle is about cutting through that clutter. For your career, this means asking, what is the essential work I need to do to achieve my goals and contribute value?
So, it's about identifying the high impact tasks and letting go of the rest?
Precisely. Let's break down a few key areas. First, prioritization. We often fall into the trap of believing everything is urgent. But if everything is urgent, then nothing truly is. The simplest approach is to identify your top 1 to 3 most important tasks for the day, week, or project. Everything else is secondary.
That makes sense. It's like giving yourself permission to not do certain things right away, or perhaps ever.
Exactly. And this ties into our one rule concept. Imagine your one rule for your career is to achieve a specific outcome. You then use that rule to filter every request or task. Does doing this task directly help me achieve my one rule outcome? If not, it's a candidate for delegation, postponement, or elimination.
That's a powerful filter. So, instead of just reacting, we're proactively aligning our actions with our core objectives.
Yes. Now let's talk about streamlining tasks. We often have repetitive tasks that consume valuable time. Can these be batched together? Can they be automated? Or can we create a simple, repeatable process? Think about how you handle incoming emails. Instead of addressing each one as it arrives, can you set aside specific times to process your inbox?
I've noticed that checking emails every few minutes really disrupts my focus. Setting designated times sounds much more efficient. It's about creating a structure that reduces constant context switching.
You've hit on a crucial point, minimizing context switching. Every time you switch from one task to another, your brain needs time to reorient. This is a significant drain on productivity and mental energy. So, grouping similar tasks together helps maintain flow.
It's like having different modes for your brain. When you're in email mode, you deal with all your emails. When you're in creative mode, you block out distractions to focus on that one important project.
That's a fantastic analogy. Another big area of complexity is meetings. So many meetings are poorly planned, overlong, or involve people who don't need to be there. Applying simplicity here means asking, what is the single, clear objective of this meeting? If there isn't one, or if it can be achieved in an email, then the meeting isn't necessary.
And if a meeting is necessary, how can we simplify it?
Keep the attendee list as small as possible. Have a clear agenda distributed beforehand. Assign a timekeeper to ensure you stick to the schedule. And importantly, and with clear action items, assigned owners and deadlines. This ensures the meeting was productive.
So, the simplicity here is about clear purpose, necessary participants, and defined outcomes. It sounds like a recipe for much more effective collaboration.
Absolutely. Now, let's consider communication. We often overcomplicate our messages, using jargon or not getting to the point. Simple communication is direct, clear, and concise. Ask yourself, what is the one key message I need to convey? Then, structure your communication around that.
I think this is where many of us struggle, but really, clarity is king.
It truly is. And when you simplify your communication, you also reduce the chances of misunderstandings, saving everyone time. Remember when we discussed simplifying your environment in Chapter 6? The same principle applies to your digital workspace. Declutter your desktop, organize your files logically, and unsubscribe from unnecessary notifications.
Ah, yes. A tidy digital space leads to a tidier, more focused mind. It makes finding what you need so much easier.
Exactly. And this brings us to the overarching benefit: reduced burnout and increased job satisfaction. When you're constantly battling complexity and feeling overwhelmed, it's exhausting. By simplifying your work, prioritizing effectively, streamlining tasks, managing meetings, and communicating clearly, you create more space. Space to think, space to be creative, and space to feel a sense of accomplishment.
That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? To not just be busy, but to be effective and feel good about what we're doing.
Precisely. So, to recap for our listeners, applying the simplicity principle to your career means focusing on essential tasks through clear prioritization, streamlining repetitive work, minimizing context switching by grouping similar activities, making meetings purposeful and concise, and practicing clear, direct communication.
And all of this is guided by our core one rule concept, acting as a compass for our professional decisions. It's about working smarter, not harder, by eliminating the non essential and amplifying the essential.
By adopting these simple practices, you can transform your professional experience, leading to greater productivity, less stress, and ultimately, more fulfillment. Think about one small change you can implement today to bring more simplicity into your workday.
That's a great challenge to leave with our listeners. It's amazing how these seemingly small adjustments can create such a significant impact over time.
Indeed, next episode, we'll shift our focus to a very important area: parenting with purpose, exploring simple strategies for thriving families. Welcome back. Last time, we explored how to work smarter, not harder, by applying simplicity to your career. Now, we're diving into what many consider one of life's most complex adventures: parenting. Today, we're tackling parenting with purpose, simple strategies for thriving families.
Parenting, Alex, feels like the opposite of simple a lot of the time. It's a constant juggling act, a whirlwind of needs, schedules, and emotions. So, how do we bring that powerful simplicity principle into the heart of our families?
That's a great question, Lisa. Remember in episode 1, we introduced the core idea of the simplicity principle, focusing on what truly matters and eliminating the rest. This is profoundly applicable to parenting. The overwhelm we often feel isn't because there's too much love or too many opportunities, but because we're trying to do everything at once, often with too many competing priorities. Simple parenting isn't about being less involved. It's about being more intentionally present and effective. It's about clarity amidst the beautiful chaos.
Clarity amidst chaos. I like that. So, where do we begin? What are some practical ways to simplify the day to day of raising kids?
Let's start with routines, which can feel like the backbone of any family. Instead of overly complex schedules, think about creating simple, predictable rhythms. For example, a consistent morning routine lays a calm foundation for the day. It doesn't need to be elaborate. Maybe it's just waking up, a quick shared breakfast, and getting ready together. The predictability itself is a powerful tool for both children and parents. What do you think, Lisa?
That makes sense. My kids, and I suspect many kids listening, thrive on knowing what to expect. When the morning is a frantic rush, everyone's energy is depleted before the day even truly begins. A simple, calm routine acts like an anchor. So, it's about creating predictable structures that reduce decision fatigue for everyone.
Exactly. And this applies to after-school routines too. Instead of letting them dive straight into screens, a simple transition like a snack, a bit of quiet reading, or a short outdoor play session can help them reset and prepare for homework or family time. It's about intentionality, not just filling time. This also circles back to where we discussed creating order in your environment. A simple, organized space for toys or homework can also greatly reduce stress.
Order in the environment, predictable routines that all contributes to a sense of calm. What about communication? That's often a huge source of stress in parenting.
Communication is absolutely key, and simplicity is our superpower here. We can simplify communication by being present and actively listening. This means putting away distractions when our children are talking to us. It's about giving them our undivided attention, even for just a few minutes. This is a powerful way to deepen connection, which we touched on earlier.
So, instead of multitasking while they tell us about their day, we actually stop and make eye contact? That sounds so basic, but how often do we actually do it?
It is basic, but its impact is profound. When we truly listen, children feel seen and valued. This reduces the need for them to escalate their behavior to get our attention. We can also simplify our requests and expectations. Instead of vague instructions, be clear and concise. For younger children, using simple language and breaking down tasks into small steps is incredibly effective. Think about that tell them what you'll tell them. Tell them, tell them what you told them structure we've used for learning. We can apply a similar principle to our instructions.
That's a brilliant parallel. So, for a chore, it might be first, we're going to put away the toys. Then, we'll read a book. Finally, it's bedtime. Breaking it down makes it far less overwhelming for a child.
Precisely. And this leads us to managing expectations, another area ripe for simplification. We often have this perfect picture in our heads of how our children should behave or how family life should look. When reality doesn't match, we feel frustrated. By simplifying our expectations, accepting that kids will be kids, and that progress isn't always linear, we reduce that internal pressure. This relates to where we discussed simplifying decision-making. We could decide to let go of perfection.
I think that's so important. The pressure to be the perfect parent is immense. Simplifying our expectations means giving ourselves and our children grace. It's about focusing on connection and progress rather than an unrealistic ideal.
Absolutely. And when it comes to focus, remember we talked about the power of one? This can apply to family goals too. Instead of trying to enrich your children in a dozen different ways simultaneously, pick one or two areas to focus on at a time. Maybe it's fostering a love of reading or encouraging outdoor play. Concentrating our energy allows for deeper impact.
So, rather than enrolling them in every single after-school club, we might choose one activity that truly sparks their interest or one skill we want to nurture together. That's a much more manageable approach.
Yes, it brings a sense of purpose to your parenting efforts. It's about intentionality. And speaking of purpose, let's talk about family time. In our busy lives, it's easy for this to become just another item on the to-do list. Simple doesn't mean less, it means quality. Carving out dedicated, distraction-free family time, even if it's just an hour a week, can be incredibly powerful. It could be a family game night, a walk in the park, or cooking a meal together. The focus is on shared experience and connection.
It's about creating those memory anchors, isn't it? Those consistent, simple moments that children will look back on fondly. It doesn't need to be extravagant trips. It's the shared laughter over a board game or the quiet conversation during a walk.
Exactly. And finally, let's not forget simplifying our own approach. We can simplify by embracing the idea of good enough parenting. This is a concept that's been discussed by child psychologists, and it aligns perfectly with our principle. It means striving for effective, loving parenting rather than unattainable perfection. It's about recognizing that you're doing your best, and that's truly enough. This is similar to the radical simplicity we'll discuss later, where enough becomes the goal.
Good enough parenting. That is such a powerful concept and a huge relief. It acknowledges that we're human, our kids are human, and life is messy, but we can still create a thriving, loving family environment.
Absolutely. So, to recap for our listeners, Simplifying parenting means creating predictable routines, simplifying communication through active listening and clear instructions, managing expectations by embracing good enough, focusing family efforts on one or two key areas as we learned about the power of one, and dedicating quality time for connection. It's about bringing intention and clarity to the beautiful, sometimes overwhelming journey of raising a family. These strategies are all built on the foundation of clarity and peace we established in episode 1.
It's about making conscious choices to reduce the noise and amplify the love and connection. Alex, this has been incredibly helpful. It makes a complex topic feel so much more approachable.
I'm glad to hear that, Lisa, because the goal isn't to strip parenting of its joy, but to enhance it by removing the unnecessary burdens. Next episode, we'll be revealing our one rule, the foundational principle that underpins all aspects of simplicity we've explored. Welcome back. Last time we covered parenting with purpose. Now let's tackle the one rule.
It's been eye-opening, Alex. Each episode has introduced a new facet of living a simpler, more intentional life. But as we get closer to the end of our series, there's one question I know our listeners and I are eager to have answered. What is this simplicity principle at its core? What's the underlying, unifying idea?
That's exactly what we're diving into today, Lisa. This is episode 10, and we're finally revealing the one rule that underpins the entire simplicity principle. Think of it as the foundation upon which everything else we've discussed is built. It's the engine that drives intentionality and clarity in all aspects of your life.
I'm ready. So, what is this powerful one rule?
The one rule of the simplicity principle is this: eliminate the non-essential.
Eliminate the non-essential. That sounds simple, almost too simple. But when you say it like that, it feels incredibly powerful.
Exactly. It is simple, and that's its genius. But it's also incredibly profound when you truly internalize it and apply it. We've danced around this concept in every episode. Remember when we talked about decluttering your mornings with rituals? What were we really doing? We were eliminating the non-essential decisions and distractions that would otherwise derail your start to the day.
So, that morning ritual of choosing your outfit the night before or preparing your lunch, those are acts of eliminating the non-essential so your morning isn't filled with frantic, low-value choices.
Precisely. And in simplifying communication, we talked about being concise and clear. What are we eliminating there? We're eliminating jargon, unnecessary rambling, and anything that doesn't serve the purpose of conveying clear information or fostering understanding. We're eliminating the verbal clutter.
Right.
It's about making sure every word, every action has a purpose. And that extends to our relationships, doesn't it? We discussed deepening connections. That means eliminating superficial interactions that drain your energy without adding value and focusing on the relationships that are truly essential for support, joy, and growth.
You've got it. It's about identifying what truly adds value and what detracts from it, then actively removing the latter. When we talked about focusing your goals with the power of one, we were emphasizing eliminating the multitude of distractions and competing priorities that dilute your focus. We're eliminating the shiny object syndrome that pulls you in a million directions and prevents you from achieving what truly matters.
And in our physical environment, decluttering wasn't just about having a tidy space. It was about eliminating the objects that don't serve a purpose, that don't bring you joy, or that create mental noise. Creating order is about eliminating the chaos caused by excess.
Absolutely. Even in decision making, the eliminate the non-essential rule is key. Instead of getting paralysis by analysis, you prune the options that don't align with your core values or objectives. You eliminate the irrelevant choices to find the essential path forward.
And at work, that means distinguishing between tasks that are truly productive and those that are just busy work. Eliminating the non-essential tasks frees up your time and mental energy for the work that truly moves the needle.
This rule is so versatile, it applies even to parenting. We spoke about simple strategies for thriving families. This involves eliminating the overwhelming number of child-rearing must-dos and focusing on the essential elements: love, security, and presence. It's about eliminating the pressures to be perfect and embracing being present and imperfectly perfect.
So, this one rule really is the common thread. It's not a rigid set of instructions, but a guiding philosophy, a lens through which we can examine every aspect of our lives.
Exactly. It's a call to conscious awareness. Every time you feel overwhelmed, stressed, or unfocused, this rule provides a powerful diagnostic tool. Ask yourself, what is non-essential here? What can I eliminate? It could be a physical item, a commitment, a thought pattern, a communication habit, an expectation. The possibilities are endless.
It's like a constant, gentle weeding of your life garden. You don't need to uproot everything. You just need to identify what's not serving the growth of what you want to cultivate and carefully remove it.
That's a wonderful analogy, Lisa. And the beauty of this rule is that it's proactive, not just reactive. It's not just about cleaning up a mess. It's about designing a life where messes have fewer opportunities to form. By constantly seeking out and eliminating the non-essential, you create space. Space for clarity, space for joy, space for meaningful connection, space for focus, and ultimately, space for peace.
And that space, that emptiness of the non-essential, is where all the good stuff thrives. It's where the essential finds room to breathe and flourish. It makes life feel lighter, more manageable, and more aligned with who we truly want to be.
The power of eliminate the non-essential lies in its simplicity and its universality. It's a principle you can apply to a single minute or to your entire life trajectory. It's the bedrock of a simple, intentional, and fulfilling existence. It's the core value that will empower you to live a life of clarity and peace, which is what the simplicity principle is all about.
So, to recap for our listeners, we've explored many ways to simplify our lives through rituals, mindful communication, focused relationships, clear goals, organized environments, effective decision making, efficient work habits, and purposeful parenting. And the unifying principle, the one rule that underpins all of these strategies, is to eliminate the non essential. It's about asking what doesn't serve you, what doesn't matter, and then bravely letting it go. This creates the space for what truly is essential to thrive.
This has been an incredibly rewarding episode for me, and I hope for you as well. We're nearing the end of our series, and this one rule is your key takeaway. We've covered a lot of ground, and in our next episode, we're going to explore how to take this concept to its ultimate conclusion with radical simplicity.
Next episode: Radical Simplicity, Embracing the Maximum.
Welcome back to the Simplicity Principle. Let's dive into radical simplicity.
Radical simplicity. That sounds intense, Alex. What does radical really mean here?
Radical simplicity is about a profound, unwavering commitment to our core principles, especially the one rule. Remember, our one rule is to consistently choose the option that adds the most clarity and peace to your life in the present moment. Radical simplicity means applying this with absolute dedication, even when challenging, and especially when it leads to transformative changes.
So, it's about fundamentally reshaping how we approach decisions, possessions, commitments, and relationships, living that one rule to its fullest.
Exactly. Think of it as moving from practicing basic strokes in the shallow and to diving into the deep end, trusting our abilities. The one rule is a powerful guiding force that can elevate every area of our lives when fully embraced.
How can we start to embrace this radical approach? Stepping outside our comfort zone feels radical.
It absolutely can be. One impactful area is possessions. Radical simplicity goes beyond decluttering. It's questioning every item. Does it truly serve a purpose? Does it bring joy or utility aligning with your values? If the answer is even a hesitant, maybe in radical simplicity, you consider letting it go, a more rigorous decluttering.
So instead of if I might need it, it's does this actively enhance my life now? That's a significant mindset shift, creating immediate space.
Precisely. This extends to our time and commitments. Radical simplicity means being fiercely protective of your time. It means saying no more often. When an opportunity arises, ask, will doing this add the most clarity and peace? And does it align with my most important goals? If not, it's a clear no.
That's tough. We often want to please or chase every perceived opportunity, but rigorously applying the one rule creates a filter, directing our energy towards what truly matters.
It is tough, but incredibly liberating. It leads to maximizing your focus. When you reduce the things you juggle, you give full attention to what truly matters. This results in higher quality work, deeper relationships, and greater accomplishment. In your career, radical simplicity means excelling at core responsibilities, not spreading yourself thin.
If we've been following the one rule, what does embracing the maximum look like? Applying it to every aspect simultaneously?
The maximum is about the depth of your commitment. Simplicity isn't a destination, but a continuous practice. Radical simplicity is about deepening that practice significantly. It's about identifying areas where you might still hold onto complexity out of habit, fear, or comfort, and consciously applying the one rule to simplify them. For example, if your home is simple, but your digital life is cluttered, overflowing inbox, and used apps, disorganized files, radical simplicity means tackling that.
Digital clutter. That's a big one. So it's about continuous refinement, always looking for opportunities to bring more of the one rule into play. Simplicity as an ever-expanding landscape of peace and clarity.
Exactly. When you commit, the results can be profound. You'll make decisions with greater ease and confidence. Your stress levels will decrease. Your relationships will deepen. You'll experience a greater sense of purpose. This is the promise of radical simplicity, a life that is profoundly more meaningful.
It sounds like a significant shift, seeing simplicity not as a restriction, but as the ultimate freedom.
That's beautifully put, Lisa. It's the freedom to focus on what truly contributes to your well-being and the courage to let go of everything else. By stripping away the non-essential, you make space for the truly essential to flourish. Remember, if something doesn't add clarity or peace, it's taking it away. Radical simplicity is wholeheartedly embracing that truth.
So, for listeners, the takeaway is to not just dabble in simplicity, but to consider a more committed, rigorous application of our one rule. To look at possessions, time, commitments, and digital lives and ask, how can I apply the one rule here for maximum clarity and peace?
Precisely. It's an invitation to push your boundaries, to embrace a life intentionally streamlined for maximum positive impact. This radical commitment is where the deepest transformations happen.
Thank you, Alex. For those wanting to explore this further, revisit past episodes on decluttering, decision making, and focusing your goals, and view them through the lens of radical application of the one rule.
And that brings us to the end of this episode. Next episode, we'll be discussing how to make this profound shift a sustainable way of life.
Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to the Simplicity Principle. Today, we focus on making simplicity a way of life.
Exactly, Alex. It's one thing to declutter for a week or even a month, but how do we turn these practices into habits that truly last? We've covered so much ground, from simplifying our mornings and communication to deepening connections and focusing our goals. We even revealed the one rule in episode 10. It feels like we've built a fantastic framework.
We have, and building on that, sustaining simplicity isn't about adding more rules or more effort. It's about weaving these principles so deeply into our lives that they become second nature. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. At first, it takes immense concentration and effort. You're wobbly, you're focused on every pedal stroke and turn. But eventually, it becomes effortless. You just do it.
That's a great analogy. So, sustained simplicity means reaching that point where letting go of the non-essential feels as natural as breathing and focusing on what truly matters is your default.
Precisely. One of the biggest challenges to sustainability is the tendency for complexity to creep back in. Life happens, responsibilities grow, and slowly we can find ourselves defaulting to old habits without even realizing it. This is why continuous awareness is key. Remember our discussion on decluttering your environment in episode 6? This applies not just to our physical spaces, but to our mental and emotional spaces too.
So, it's like regular check-ins with ourselves. Are we letting in too much noise again? Are we overcommitting? Are we holding on to things that no longer serve us?
Absolutely. And to combat that creeping complexity, we need to create systems and routines that naturally reinforce simplicity. This ties back to episode 2, where we discussed simplifying our mornings with rituals. These aren't rigid, joyless tasks. They are intentional moments that set a simple, focused tone for the day. Imagine starting your day with a few minutes of quiet reflection or a simple, healthy breakfast instead of a frantic rush through emails and notifications.
That intentional beginning can really ripple through the entire day. What about the one rule we discussed? How does that play into sustainability?
The one rule, which, if you recall, is to ask yourself, does this serve my ultimate purpose and bring me closer to my desired state of peace and clarity? Is the ultimate filter for sustainability. When faced with a new commitment, a purchase, or even a relationship dynamic, that question acts as your anchor. It's the compass that keeps you pointed towards simplicity. It helps prevent you from saying yes to things that will ultimately complicate your life and move you away from your core values.
It sounds like the one rule is the guardian of our simple life. But what happens when we slip up? Because let's be honest, we all do.
That's a vital point, Lisa, and it's where radical self-compassion comes in. In episode 11, we talked about radical simplicity. This includes being radically kind to ourselves. When you find yourself overwhelmed or backsliding, don't beat yourself up. That's just more complexity. Instead, acknowledge it. See it as a data point. What led to this? What do you learn? Then, gently guide yourself back to your practice simple habits. It's a journey, not a race.
So, it's about resilience, learning to get back on the simple path without judgment. This reminds me of episode 4, Deepening Our Connections. A simple, honest relationship allows for imperfections and growth.
Exactly. And that connects to another strategy for sustainability, creating intentional spaces for reflection and recalibration. This could be a weekly review, a monthly personal retreat, or even just scheduling short periods of quiet time each day to assess your priorities and ensure they align with your commitment to simplicity. Are your goals still clear? Are your relationships nurturing? Is your work aligned with your values?
It's like tending to a garden, isn't it? You plant the seeds of simplicity, but you have to weed out the complications, prune what's overgrown, and ensure it gets the right nourishment to keep thriving.
That is a perfect metaphor, Lisa. And speaking of nourishment, let's talk about simplifying our information intake. In our hyperconnected world, it's so easy to get bombarded with constant notifications, news, and social media updates. This constant influx of information acts like an invasive weed, choking out clarity and peace. Actively curating your information diet is crucial for sustainable simplicity. This means being mindful of what you consume, where it comes from, and how it makes you feel.
So, unfollowing accounts that drain your energy, unsubscribing from newsletters you don't read, and setting specific times to check your devices. It's about reclaiming our attention.
Reclaiming our attention is paramount. Our attention is our most valuable resource. When we scatter it across countless digital distractions, we lose our ability to focus on what truly matters, to be present in our lives, and to engage deeply with ourselves and others. Sustaining simplicity means safeguarding that attention.
And you mentioned earlier about complexity creeping back in. What are some practical ways to resist that? Beyond the one rule and intentional reflection?
One powerful way is to practice saying no, and not just saying no to new things, but also reviewing existing commitments. Are there things you're doing out of obligation or habit that no longer align with your simplified life? Learning to gracefully decline requests or delegate tasks that don't serve your core priorities is a cornerstone of sustained simplicity. Remember episode 7 on decision making? Simplicity in decision making extends to saying no.
It's about protecting your time and energy, your most precious simplified assets. It sounds like the key takeaway is that sustainability is an active, ongoing practice, not a passive state.
Absolutely. It's about conscious living. It's about making intentional choices every day that reinforce your commitment to a life of clarity and peace. We've learned that simplicity isn't about deprivation. It's about deliberate choices. It's about identifying what truly adds value and joy and letting go of the rest. And by consistently applying these principles, by checking in with ourselves, by embracing self-compassion when we stumble, and by protecting our attention and our time, we can absolutely make simplicity a lasting way of life.
This has been so insightful, Alex. So, to recap, we need to be aware of complexity creeping back in, use our one rule as a constant filter, embrace self-compassion for inevitable slips, schedule regular reflection time, curate our information intake, and practice saying no to protect our resources. It's about building resilience and making intentional choices that reinforce our commitment.
Exactly. And this leads us beautifully into our final episode, where we'll bring it all together. We'll revisit the core tenets of the simplicity principle and look towards a future filled with clarity and peace, making simplicity not just a phase, but a lifelong companion.
Which means next time we'll be wrapping up the entire series.
That's right. Join us then for our grand finale. Thanks for listening. Welcome to the Simplicity Principle, a podcast dedicated to one powerful idea. This is episode 13, The Simplicity Principle, a life of clarity and peace.
What a remarkable journey it's been, Alex. We've explored so many areas of life, consistently finding that simplification leads to clarity, focus, and peace.
Precisely, Lisa. In episode 1, we introduced the simplicity principle itself. It's not about having less, but about being intentional. It means choosing what truly matters and letting go of the rest, removing the unnecessary to make space for the essential.
And we saw how this applied to our mornings in episode 2. By decluttering our routines and establishing simple rituals, we set a positive and peaceful tone for the entire day, rather than beginning with chaos.
That focus on decluttering continued into episode 3, where we simplified our communication. By speaking and writing more clearly, we avoid misunderstandings and build more genuine connections. It's about more clarity and less noise.
This then led naturally to episode 4, where we discussed deepening relationships by simplifying them. It's about nurturing a few meaningful connections rather than chasing a vast network. Quality, not quantity, has been our constant guide.
For achieving our goals, Episode 5 highlighted the power of focusing on one. By simplifying our ambitions to a single significant objective at a time, we dramatically increase our chances of success instead of spreading ourselves too thin.
Then we addressed our physical surroundings in episode 6. Creating order in our environment, we learned, directly leads to greater order and peace in our minds. A simple, uncluttered home promotes a less stressful daily experience.
In Episode 7, we found that decision-making becomes much clearer when simplified. By reducing our options and trusting our intuition, we can make choices with greater speed and confidence, saving valuable mental energy.
Professionally, episode 8 showed us how to work smarter, not harder. Simplifying our careers involves identifying the most impactful tasks and streamlining processes to maximize effectiveness without leading to burnout.
We then moved into the heart of the family in Episode 9, exploring parenting with purpose. Simple strategies were shared to nurture happy, thriving families, focusing on presence and connection over overwhelming children.
And in episode 10, we finally revealed the one rule, the foundational tenet that underpins our entire approach to simplicity. It serves as our guiding star for living a more intentional life.
Building on that, Episode 11 explored radical simplicity, encouraging us to embrace maximum simplicity in all areas. This isn't a limitation, but an expansion of our potential, revealing how much more we can do and enjoy when the excess is removed.
Perhaps most critically, episode 12 focused on sustaining simplicity. We learned that making simplicity a way of life requires ongoing practice and continuous refinement, embedding these habits until they become second nature.
So, looking back at our entire series, the simplicity principle has proven to be a practical philosophy applicable to every aspect of life. From our mornings to our communication, relationships, goals, homes, decisions, work, and families, simplification consistently brings profound benefits.
It's about being present, focused, and intentional. By clearing out both our external and internal clutter, we create space for what truly nourishes us. We replace overwhelm with calm, confusion with clarity, and stress with peace.
Think of it like clearing a cluttered desk or putting down unnecessary balls in a juggling act. Simplicity is the act of creating space, not for emptiness, but for richness.
And that one rule serves as a powerful tool. By constantly asking ourselves if something aligns with that rule, we can easily filter out distractions and concentrate on what truly enhances our lives and well-being.
This journey has been about intentional living, regaining control over our time, energy, and attention. When we simplify, we empower ourselves to actively create our own experience, rather than passively accepting life's demands.
The ultimate outcome of this continuous practice is a life filled with maximum clarity and peace. It's a state of being grounded, with a clear purpose, allowing us to navigate challenges with grace and resilience. It means having exactly what we need and nothing more, where need is defined by genuine contribution to our fulfillment.
This series has aimed to plant seeds. The simplicity principle grows and deepens with practice. Embrace the power of consistent, small, simple steps. Every choice for clarity over clutter, intention over impulse, reinforces this principle.
As we conclude this series, thank you for joining us in exploring the simplicity principle. We hope you've gained valuable insights and practical ways to bring more clarity and peace into your lives. Remember, simplicity is a rewarding journey, not just a destination.
Thanks for listening to the series.